Robinson, you and your wife say you are not the father of the defendant's son, Travaris, but know who is.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
claim she deceived you into believing you were the father to collect child support, and as a result of your inability to pay, your driver's license was suspended and your tax return was taken.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you're suing Ms. Grant for $124 for license reinstatement fees and plan to return to court in your home state to fight for $1,685.10 in garnished wages.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, you believe Mr. Robinson is denying your son only because he was summoned to pay more than $13,000 in back child support. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Robinson, how has this situation affected your marriage?
We had got a letter in mail saying that he was $13,000 arrearage in back time child support.
So before this letter, you didn't know he was even the father?
Well, when me and him met and got married in '09, he told me he had 3 children.
Okay.
And he was not in their life. I made him get in their life. Told him that you doing for my kids, you need to do for your own.
Your Honor,
All
that's
of a
not
sudden,
You say that's not true, Ms.
No.
Grant?
my son never went around them.
yes, he did.
Dexter did claim my child because I have proof here where he went to sign papers and everything.
Yeah, he did sign
And
the paper,
then
but he
when
didn't sign the
when I
birth
was in the
certificate.
hospital,
Well, you
He
had
didn't
you
sign
said
the
you
birth
have proof.
certificate.
Yes. He had the opportunity.
What is this
then.
paperwork?
That is where he signed and say that that is his child, and he states that he would pay $60 a month for his child.
This is an affidavit, an admission of paternity, which is basically an acknowledgement of paternity. Did you sign this, sir? That's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old was Mr. Christian Travaris when this was signed?
I think he was a couple of months, Your Honor.
So this was right after he was born?
Right. And during that time, Dexter was acknowledging that that was his child. I mean, he was coming there. We was going places together. He brought stuff. I mean, we was like as a family. I mean, yeah, he had another family also, but he played the role as a father during then. A year after my child was born, that's when Dexter went his separate ways and his family started saying he wasn't his and all that.
So take me back. I want to understand this relationship a little bit. You all met and you started a sexual relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long after that did you realize you were pregnant?
We started dating October the 7th, 1989. And
They were not never in a relationship.
Your Honor, yes, we are. And as a matter of fact, where was you in 1989 when we was together?
Well,
How did you know what was going on?
I'm with him now.
Dexter, I slept with you. I did not sleep with your
Well,
wife. Could you
well,
please tell her that we was
it's my
together?
responsibility now because of
where's we
09.
together?
Ms. Grant, how did this develop into a sexual relationship?
He asked me, he said, you know my birthday is next month. And I said, no. He said, yeah, it's November the 28th. He said, can we get together for my birthday? So in November, we got together at my cousin's house in the back seat of his burgundy Bonneville, and that's where Travaris was conceived. He told me, when we finished having sex, he looked me in my face and he said, Tisha, you are pregnant. It was different. I mean, yeah, prior to Dexter, I had a relationship with Eddie. I can't say it was a relationship. I slept with Eddie.
That doesn't mean he's the father.
If you having sex with somebody, how is that not meaning that he is the father?
Okay, when you having sex with 2 different men,
So
I
wait,
was with Eddie.
you having 2
Let me
different
be clear. Let me be
Dexter.
clear. Let me be clear. So you had sex with Mr. Robinson
Yes.
in the backseat of this car.
Yes.
But you were also in a sexual relationship with another man during that time.
No, prior to meeting Dexter.
Well, not during the window of conception or during the window of conception?
Not during the window of the conception.
Okay. And that man is here in court today. So you find out you're pregnant, and so after he told you that, when you find out you're pregnant, you instantly think it's Mr. Robinson.
I know it's Mr. Robinson.
So you tell him. How did he respond?
Nothing. I mean, he just took on the responsibility.
So you say he stepped up, he took on the responsibility. So, Mr. Robinson, you do acknowledge you had a sexual relationship with Miss Grant.
I did.
You did, okay. What I want to understand is, you went up and you signed the acknowledgement of paternity. When did you become doubtful?
2 years ago, when this other man approached him and told him that he was the father.
When they
So,
got
Mr.
the paper,
Robinson.
they had to pay $13,000, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Robinson, at some point after you signed this acknowledgement, someone came up to you and said, I'm
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Christian's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this was just 2 years ago?
Yes, Your Honor.
So all of these years, over 20 years, you thought Mr. Christian was your son and you were paying support?
Yes, Your Honor. This guy, Mr. Eddie, came and told me Montez was his son. But out of all this time, I really thought Montez was my son.
And then what happened after that?
Mr. Robinson came home and told me about it.
This man
What
that they're
friend?
claiming walked up to him and said, I'm really Mr. Christian's father. Do you know who this man is?
I do know him, Your Honor.
And did you have a sexual relationship with him?
Prior to the conceived of Travaris.
So before Mr. Christian was conceived, you were in a sexual relationship with this other man?
Yes.
And that is Mr. Ellis?
That is.
I want to hear from him. Jerome, would you please escort him into the courtroom, please? Mr. Ellis, thank you for being here today. We are, of course, discussing the paternity as it relates to Mr. Christian. And we've heard testimony that says you approached Mr. Robinson at some point and said, I'm Mr. Christian's father.
Well,
did that happen?
No, that's a lie. He approached me. He came to me and he said, I heard that Montez was your son. I said, well, hey, man, hey, look, I didn't tell you to go up there and sign them papers. So that's on you. You know, I feel that he is my son because of his mom had approached me and said once.
And I never, Your Honor, I
Oh,
never
yes,
in my life
yes.
told him that he was.
Yes,
he
you
was
have,
his
'cause you-
daddy.
Miss Grant, I'm going to give you a
At all.
chance to respond. Let me hear his testimony first.
Because
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
proceed.
He used to stay with my mom, and all y'all, we call me Pops and whatnot, so, hey, I feel he my son, you know?
So you acknowledge that you had a sexual relationship with Miss Grant, and was it during the window of time when Mr. Christian was conceived? You believe that?
Yes.
What did Miss Grant say to you that made you believe that you were
He told me to go get my son out the tree, you know? Go and get him out the tree. He acting just like you.
How old was he when she said that?
I think he was probably about 7 or 8, something like that.
So you were just over there and she said, go get your son out the tree.
Yeah.
And then what, you looked at her and you felt like, are you saying to me this is my son?
Exactly.
Your Honor, if my son went up the tree, you know that if my son went up the tree, he'll came down. Now, at the age of 14, my child, I mean, apparently y'all don't know who he is, so where you been all this time?
Well,
if you
man.
claiming to be the father and say, I said at the age of 7 or 8 that he was your child, so why it took you that long to come in and respond to him, and now all of a sudden you saying that he's your child? Where is my support?
Well, hey, look,
I mean, seriously. So who's the bad person
Well,
here?
you told me it wasn't mine.
And my point exactly.
So
I told you he wasn't yours.
Yeah, when you
I
said-
never told you he was.
But when you said it wasn't
Exactly.
mine.
Just like Mr. Eddie
Yeah.
had came and told my husband that Mr.
Well,
Christian
when-
was his child.
Yeah, when you told me it wasn't mine, what I supposed to do?
That's what I'm
So
saying.
I-
So how
I
would I
left it
tell you
alone.
he yours and then I
So-
talk about he's not yours?
by me-
Come on, get your story straight.
So by
Let
me-
me know.
by
That's
leaving
money.
it alone.
What did I
That's
say?
all.
So how would I
left it
tell you
alone.
he yours and then I talk
So-
about he's not yours?
by me-
Come on, get your story straight.
Going through the years, now you and him then broke up. Now all of a sudden, everybody going around saying, hey, man, that's your son.
Thank you, everybody else. Not Tisha, everybody else saying
You
that he's
said it,
yours.
Will.
Everybody else. Your mom even the one that agreed to say he was yours.
She stayed with my mother.
He stayed his sophomore year of high school with her. We had a falling out. And at that time, he used to spend a lot of time over there because he ran track and played sports with
So he
his
used to
nephew.
spend a lot of time over with Mr. Ellis's family?
Yes.
Yeah.
But why?
Because he was friends with his nephew.
So when he would spend the summers and be involved in your family, you thought it was because he was your family, he was your son.
Of course. Exactly.
All right, so I would like to hear from Mr. Christian. Sir, would you please stand? So, Mr. Christian, were you ever told that Mr. Ellis was your father?
I was told that it could be either of the two.
That it could be either of the two?
Yes, ma'am.
And who told you this?
My mom.
She did.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Grant, your son's saying that you honestly told him it could be either of these two men. In your prior testimony, you said you were only sleeping with Mr. Ellis way before Mr. Robinson.
I was telling the truth earlier. But you know, as a young girl, the community say, he look like him, he look like this, and he look like... So, okay, they drilled it in my head, and I'm like, I know when I had him.
You really think Mr. Robinson is your child's father?
Yeah.
But your community keeps saying that he looks like Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
And so ultimately, you have to tell your son, I really don't know. It could be one of these two men.
Right, because everybody running to him and saying, now, you know Eddie is your daddy and all that. So once everybody running to him, I said, well, everybody else saying, I said, it could possibly be.
Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Robinson and Mr. Robinson, you're saying you want $124 because you have to apply to get his driver's license reinstated because it was suspended because of failure to pay his support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you believe that this was not lawful and not appropriate because he really is not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know exactly why he's on child support. He's on child support because he signed voluntarily an acknowledgement of paternity. He admitted that he was the father legally when he executed that. Do you understand?
Yes.
And this is what's important, is that ignorance of the law is never an excuse. So therefore, I cannot award you the $124 that it would cost to reinstate his license because by signing that document, he acknowledged he's the father, he's responsible for the child support. Your claim is denied. All right, so Mr. Christian, who did you call or regard as your father growing up?
Eddie most of the time.
That would be Mr. Ellis.
Yes, ma'am.
When you thought about dad, when you thought about father, you thought about him.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that Mr. Robinson was paying child support?
No, ma'am.
You never knew that?
Neither one of them actually did anything. Like, I just, referred to him as more of a father because his family, like he said, they reached out towards me more.
Yep.
Mr. Ellis's?
Yes.
And what about your relationship with Mr. Robinson and his family?
There was no relationship with me and his family.
So you
Your Honor,
felt
we found
rejected
him
by
money.
his family,
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we
and they
found
would
him
tell
money.
you you're not.
When did you send me money?
We sent you money to Western Union.
When?
Back in 09.
You show me a receipt and I'll tell you that I'm a lie.
You say you've never received any
Never
money.
received money from either one of them. Throughout college, throughout everything, I got a full athletic scholarship, running track at Mississippi State. Everything for me in college was paid for. Although I thank my mom for all she's done, she went on to finish high school, took college courses, been working at the hospital since I was 8. But that's all I ever had was my mom. True enough, he started trying to interact with me more, when he said, when I was around his family. And that's Eddie, of course. But Dexter never did anything for me. I never had a real father figure in my life. Both of them basically made bad decisions coming up. True enough, he stayed in Michigan and he stayed basically 10 miles away, and I never even had a relationship with him at all.
So, Ms. Grant, I have to ask you, because I'm looking at this handsome young man, smart young man. I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't want to be his dad. What do you think this is about?
It's more of they saying that I want money. I hadn't had money in 25 years, 24 years of his life.
My mom is not money hungry at all.
I worked all my life since he became a child, since I brought him into this world. I've been working since I was 14.
$13,000 behind. I mean, that's what you want.
Okay, but if you was paying child support, you shouldn't be $13,000 behind.
But if you wouldn't have been saying another man was the daddy, maybe he would have been
But you
doing
said
his
this just happened
responsibility.
2 years ago, so what happened to the other 22 years? Why you hadn't paid nothing then?
Neither one of them was around.
Girl, please, get your life.
I think the way that we can all begin to move forward is to just get the results. Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Robinson versus Grant, when it comes to 24-year-old Travaris Christian, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Eddie Ellis, you are not the father. Mr. Dexter Robinson, you are not the father.
Thanks God.
There's nobody else?
There has to be at least one more. And I know that's a long time to think back. I think you got some thinking to do. You have an amazing young man here. It's about finding out the answers for your child. He deserves that. Mr. Robinson, Ms. Robinson, I need to inform you that there is no guarantee that you will be released from your obligation to pay those arrears, because under the law, when you sign that acknowledgement of paternity voluntarily, you're responsible. Are you all right, Mr. Christian?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm fine. I'm a grown man now. I moved on in life. It hurt, like, for Eddie not to be my father, simply because his family, they look at me more like as a family member.
I'm gonna still be in your life, either way it go.
I appreciate that.
Ms. Bruce, you say your ex-boyfriend was supportive during your pregnancy and never had any doubt about paternity. It wasn't until your now 17-month-old daughter, Nevaeh, was born that he started to deny that he was her father and now does nothing for her. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Miller, you claim the plaintiff slept with your friend and you know that he is Nevaeh's father because you believe it is medically impossible for you to father children. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Bruce, you say he needs to step up.
That's right.
What does he do for your daughter?
Nothing. He hasn't done anything for my daughter all this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there the whole time that she was pregnant and, but this year, she's correct. I haven't done much because of the situation being the way that it is between her and I.
That has nothing to do with our daughter.
Paternity of the
She
child.
still needs food. She still needs daycare.
And you still need to
needs
prove that
everything.
she mine.
And so you've pretty much been doing this on your own.
Right.
Right.
So take me back. I want to understand the nature of your relationship, how you all met, got together.
I met him years ago at a party. We talked for a minute. I wasn't really interested. We didn't really talk much for a few years, and then he contacted me on Facebook in January of 2012, and we've been talking ever since then.
Talking, what's that mean?
Well,
you've been doing more than talking if Nevaeh is here.
Right.
And
Right.
he could potentially be the
It moved
father.
kind of quickly. He moved in, and then we started to,
So
obviously
wait, how quickly after you met did he move in?
Very soon, like a month.
So a month after you...
No, let me stop her right there. I met her technically like 10 years ago.
Right.
So it's like we were already familiar with each other.
Right.
So the process just went faster because of that.
And is it a committed relationship? Are you boyfriend and
It was
girlfriend?
never committed, apparently. Ever. It was never a monogamous relationship. I found out very early on.
On both sides?
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, you
I
said
found
it
out
right.
very early on that he had been doing things outside of our relationship.
That's a true statement. Yeah, that's true. Things happened between us and we broke up, so there was no more commitment. But we continued to deal with each other on other levels.
Right.
But the relationship...
Deal with each other on other levels. Just go on and tell the story.
Sex.
Okay, so you still
having
continue
sex,
to have
hanging
sex.
out, still
Living
acting like
together.
we're in a relationship.
We were living together. We were on and off throughout the last 5 years. It was never on the whole 5 years. Let me say that.
Right.
But you were on enough at some point,
Right.
you
Right.
found out you're pregnant.
Right.
So when you got pregnant, was this during a time you were together and committed or broken up?
We were broken up. But we were still sleeping together.
So you find out you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
When you find out you're pregnant, take me to that day. What happens?
Him and I both went up to a drugstore. We both got a test. We both came back to my house. I took it, called him in there. He saw it was positive. We got along fine throughout my pregnancy all the way up until the 8th month.
So wait, was he happy?
Yes.
Well, we was broken up. She was with who knows. That's just because the test come back that she's positive pregnant don't mean I'm positive the father.
Right, and we discussed.
True.
And we discussed getting a DNA test, and I was okay with that because we hadn't been together. I was okay with getting the DNA test.
Oh, so immediately there was a discussion of a DNA
Right.
test.
Yeah, no, it was
so
fine.
immediately you expressed that you may or may not be the father of this child.
Going into her pregnancy, she wasn't even 4, maybe 5 months pregnant before I was like, hey, we're gonna have to get a DNA test done because.
But did you say you thought that she wasn't yours for that reason?
I ain't gonna never ever rule out the possibility that she's mine. because I know that I was having sex with you unprotected. So the possibility is there.
So why the disgust, Ms. Bruce? Because if I listen to Mr. Miller's testimony, he's basically saying she got pregnant during a time where we weren't committed. So while I know I could potentially be the father, I don't know if there could potentially be another father.
Right. I don't disagree with you that he had a reason to want a DNA test. It's just the way that he asked me for it after our child got here. He said, she just don't look like me. I need a blood test, is what he said.
Okay, but you was
so
already
you're
knowing.
saying...
So I understood if I was in his position and I was the man and he was the woman, I would want a DNA test as well, because you never know what someone's doing behind your back. So I understood the fact that he wanted the test.
Well, you have the opportunity. We're in court now, so you have the opportunity to testify. Were you doing something else with someone else?
No.
But you believe she slept with your friend.
Right, yes, that's what I believe. And it's like during her pregnancy, he started to just kind of pull away from me. I'm not thinking much of it, but it was when she had the baby that things really came to light as far as the friend is concerned, because the day that she she went into labor, she had a C-section. And I'm up there to the hospital when the child is born. One of my friends gladly welcomes the child like a friend would welcome his friend's child. Like, hey, let me hold the baby. The one that's been distant, that's exactly how he was in the hospital that day. He don't want to hold the baby, but I noticed how he looked at the child.
Really?
When he came into the room, it was one of those looks like he wanted to see the baby, but not be dealt with the baby.
He is delusional.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Your friend of 30 years, this is a person you know very well, was acting uncharacteristically different.
Right. When the child was born, the friend, he gave me a gift with some onesies in it. One of the onesies specifically said, my daddy is the blank. Okay, I won't say the name because the name that was on the onesie is a nickname that the friend goes by.
What?
I have that right here.
Thank you. So you say this friend who started acting funny brings you 2 onesies for the baby?
Mm-hmm.
And it has the other guy's name.
It said his nickname, not his real name, but I'm his friend. I know what you go by, of course. She knew what it was, and she hurried up and put it back in the box.
He's lying.
And I ain't never seen the baby wear.
He is lying.
So did you get a onesie that had his friend's nickname on it?
No.
Boy.
So one of you all lying.
He's lying.
Okay,
It can't be.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in touch with that friend?
No.
You confronted him about this paternity issue?
Oh, yeah, I confronted him about this situation. Matter of fact, he actually reached out to me, called my phone, and he's like, as soon as I answer the phone, hello, he's like, hey, what's all this about? You think Kelly, baby is my baby? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I think.
Do you have any other reasons why you feel like this friend could potentially be Ms. Bruce's?
I mean, I have also, since the baby's been here, I have had people call me and say, we seen your baby mom car in his neighborhood. So in his
all right, hold on. So you submitted an exhibit to the court to explain this situation. All right, I'd like to see this exhibit.
Okay, this is the neighborhood that he lives in. Out there, it's a residential neighborhood. Ain't no stores out there, no clubs, no place but somebody's house. Okay?
So you're saying her car was spotted in this neighborhood?
Right. Not once, twice. Somebody done called me.
But did you see my car? Did you see it?
No, I never said that I saw her car. I said someone has reached out to me and said they seen my baby mama car in this man's neighborhood.
So you think she's in this neighborhood because she's taking the baby to see?
That's what I originally was thinking.
Your friend?
Right.
So, Ms. Bruce, you're saying that this story is fabricated?
Completely fabricated.
Why would multiple people say they saw your car?
No one said that. Mr. Miller has said that.
No, somebody said that.
Nobody has said that.
How you know? How you know ain't nobody said that?
Nobody had, because I know him. Nobody has said that.
I know you. You one of the biggest liars
Nobody
in the
has said
city.
that.
Hold on. Let's be respectful.
Right. I didn't have any, me and him.
So you deny all of this?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
I'm not going to admit to anything that I haven't done.
So when Nevaeh was born.
No, you did.
And Mr. Miller was there for the birth?
He was there for the birth because I asked him to be, because a month prior to that, he was MIA. He left my house when I was 8 months pregnant, and he went and got his own place and claimed it was for his daughter, but she never once went to that house, ever.
Oh, why she ain't
And
go
then
there?
when I
Why
tried-
she ain't been there?
then when I
Why
tried
she ain't
to
been there?
establish
Why my
paternity-
daughter ain't come to my house?
Excuse me.
Tell the
When
judge
I
why the
tried
daughter
to
ain't come to my house.
establish...
Is it your daughter?
I signed the birth certificate, so technically it is my daughter.
It is.
Okay?
Okay, now
She has his last
we
name.
are testifying. This
Right.
is your daughter under the law. You
Right.
are the legal father.
Right.
We do not know if you're the biological father,
Right.
but you are the legal father.
Of this child.
If in fact it is determined today that he is not the biological father, then he can go back to your home state and petition the court to have his name removed.
I'm aware of that. Yes, I'm confident. I don't have anything to worry about. And I also have a picture that I wanted to show you since he... has
You've
been-
brought evidence?
Yes.
A photo?
Yes.
Jerome, will you please hand me that photo, please?
John has said that he was so doubtful for so long. You know, that's just a picture after my child was born
All right.
of him and her.
So this is a picture of you.
Right.
And it's the
I just
picture
think
of
it's
beautiful
odd that
Nevaeh.
someone that's really that sure
See,
that
that's
he's
the
not...
whole thing.
Can I
And
speak
what's
in?
odd is that I'm a man who was dealing with a woman and she got pregnant. And me being the type of man I am, knowing that I'm even a mere possibility, I don't know who you've been sleeping with, but just the fact that I'm a possibility, I'll be the one to step up.
That's the
why
funny part. You're going to step up and
No.
take a picture? Well,
No,
thank you.
I stepped up.
Well, I
appreciate
mean,
that.
if
But
you
I'm
look
not
at,
doing
hold
nothing
on,
now.
Right.
hold
I'm not
on.
doing nothing now. I got to figure this out. I can't continue because I ain't going 18 years.
But I-
Hey, you
Take
wanna
a
hit it?
breath.
Okay.
Take a breath.
I just
No,
feel like...
take a breath. The look on your face, Mr. Miller, the look on your face to me says doubt.
Right. So that lets you know how long it's been present in me.
You said in your court file you don't even think it's medically possible for you to have children.
Right.
Explain that to the court.
This child was conceived when I was 35
But you
years old.
signed a birth certificate.
Right. I never
Okay.
had any children prior to this, and I'm a real sexually active guy. You know, I never had any kids, so when she got pregnant, I just was kind of wondering, like, dang, I didn't even know, you know.
And so you believe you have a low sperm count.
Yes, ma'am. I believe my sperm count is low, and I don't believe that I can father a child.
When we get to this courtroom, we're about answers.
Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
And so we ordered you to undergo a semen analysis, and we have those results. Jerome, can you please escort Dr. Jamila Gator into the courtroom?
Hello, Dr. Gator.
Hi.
Go right up to the witness stand.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Gator.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here with us. We're here discussing the paternity of beautiful baby Nevaeh. Mr. Miller has indicated through his testimony he believes he has a low semen count. So can you explain Mr. Miller's results specifically?
Yes. So in Mr. Miller's case, his total volume of sperm in the actual analysis was quite low. His actual total sperm count was also borderline low at 19 million. So normal is closer to 40 million. His motility was actually very low. Normally males, 50% of their sperm are motile, which increases the chance of pregnancy because the sperm has to swim to the egg to basically fertilize it. So in Mr. Miller's case, only 24% of the sperm were motile, which is very low.
What is the chance that he would be able to father a child? Because here we, of course, are talking about paternity.
So it's possible still for Mr. Miller to father a child with a low sperm count, but the likelihood goes down significantly with a sperm count that low.
Very interesting. So when you hear that, Mr. Miller, does that in any way affect your belief as you came into this courtroom, what you feel about Nevaeh?
You know, and hearing this just confirms that thought that I had. You know, I don't want her to just, oh, that's your baby, oh, that's your baby, that's your baby, that's your baby, that's your baby. Like it was just me that you was dealing with, like you claiming.
All right, so Ms. Bruce, has your position changed?
Nope. It looks like he's clear from here on out. He shouldn't have any more kids, but he's got mine.
Well, we'll see.
They was swimming fine then.
Okay. Well, that's all that matter, right?
That's right.
We'll find out how well they was
At the
swimming.
end of the day, I just want him to be in her life. I want him to be a father to my daughter. She deserves that.
Those are your hopes.
Those are my hopes. I just want him to get past some of the anger that he has towards me in order to stop hindering the relationship with her once he finds out that she is his.
Well, let's get to the truth.
Let's do that.
So we can see where we go from here.
Okay.
Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Bruce versus Miller, when it comes to 17-month-old Nevaeh Miller, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Miller, you are the father.
Yeah, okay.
You are the father.
That's perfect for me.
That's your gorgeous little girl.
I really appreciate it, and I apologize to her for the way that I have handled the situation throughout this whole year and throughout the...
Just
My
step up
baby.
and be my baby's daddy. That's all I want you to
My
do.
baby.
That's it.
So when you look at your little girl now, I see you feel emotional. Why do you feel that?
Because I have allowed so many different influences to keep me from me.
Well said. Because when you make a child, it is a part of you.
Yes, this is way heavy on me. So it's great to find out the truth once and for all and be able to do what needs to be done.
And I see your emotion, Miss Bruce, because I know this has been a long road. You understand that much of this is a symptom of your toxic relationship. Both of you are more than intelligent enough to have solved this DNA situation months ago. I see you can't even keep your eyes off of her, Mr. Miller.
It's my baby.